What makes a good story? Is it just simply plot points? Is it a theme? Is it the engaging characters? Is it all about crazy events? Is it the ending? Now, what about video game stories? That's a whole new ballgame. Simply put, video games are a specific, unique medium for storytelling where the player interacts with the narrative in hopes of both creating a unique story and being part of the world. It's what makes video games special and why I've always loved them. But I got to thinking, what are my favorite video game stories? I mean, I haven't played every video game, but my experience is far from limited. It's the top 10 video game stories of all time. Everyone knows the rules. I have to have beaten the game and one per franchise. Here we go with our honorable mentions. I've heard legends about this story. The deep character development, the super engaging plot, and a possible top 10 villain for all video games. It's actually one of my biggest video game regrets that I haven't gotten around to the franchise's possible best entry. I even own the damn thing. Bad gamer! Everyone has Witcher fever, and it's easy to see why. The world these games and books have built are easily the peak of fantasy worlds. This is one I actually played and finished, but ultimately cut. Why? Quick answer, I just didn't think the main narrative was strong enough. But its side quests are some of the best I've ever seen. It came up just short of the top 10, and I may regret that too. Another JRPG from gaming history, and another I just didn't get around to playing. I watched a video breaking down and explaining the story, and that was interesting enough that I just had to mention it here. In fact, I have several friends who would take this as the best JRPG of all time, thanks in large part to just the story. It's pretty high marks. Right off the bat, I'm going to throw my Ghost of Tsushima hat into the ring. I'm sure you're already shaking your head, but hear me out. I mentioned Witcher 3's side quests and how they were incredible. Well, ghosts are just as good. They are an amazing highlight. An archer whose protege has turned rogue, breaking his heart. A mother whose family was brutally slaughtered and now wants vengeance. And your former nanny, who basically served as your mother, is dying, and you watch her break down. They are both emotional and captivating. On top of that, it's accompanied by a main narrative that has its own highlights, but hits really hard with a final duel. It may have been predictable, but despite that, the moments still hit. And to me, that's top 10. Okay, here we go. By far the most confusing and intricate story on the list. I won't go into it because while it is wild and crazy what happens with the androids and them learning the truth about the machines, the humans, and the androids and their own existence, what shoots this game into the top 10 are the themes of Nier.
As far as I'm concerned,
it's not just can machines learn to be human. It's seen some of humanity's most basic emotions take hold and destroy these machines. It's the tragedy of watching this happen. Pascal's arc in particular is extremely moving. This game hits so many themes, and while some could seem offensive, the questions the game raises are all in service of androids creating the human experience. Top all of this off with a very climactic 4th and 5th act. It may seem flawed, but that's the point. It's almost human.
Massive energy signature detected.
It's BioWare's second entry into this space epic. Mass Effect 2 is the high point of the series, and the narrative has a lot to do with it. Right out of the gate, Mass Effect 2's campaign sucks you in and only builds upon that hot start, with high-risk missions and unlikely alliances. That may have been nice enough, but the thing that makes Mass Effect 2 special? The characters. And their stories. For my money, this is the best cast of side characters in gaming. They are fully developed, and even your least favorites are still interesting, while your favorites just etch their way into your heart. I love you, Mordin. Cap all of this with an unforgettable final mission, and we have number 8.
All right. Let me just
Soma. How to put this?
You are Simon Jarrett, correct?
Soma's story will make your inner geek cream its pants. It is one of the most amazing science fiction stories I've ever seen. And due to its immersive gameplay and presentation, the twist and events of Soma just hit me with a bat. It's a tale of AI transferring human consciousness into machines to preserve the last semblance of humanity since the Earth has been struck by a comet, wiping out humanity save for the very few that are left here at the bottom of the ocean. It examines the common sci-fi trope of can machines be human, but in a much more chilling and uncomfortable way, culminating in the final moments which are both happy in a sense of accomplishment and sad in their realization. Soma kicks ass. What we have here is one of the most interesting and unique stories I've experienced. Edith Finch returns home and explores the memories and untimely deaths of her family members. These are both unique and unsettling at the same time. The brother who works at the fish factory really sticks out in my mind. These moments left me feeling conflicted and saying, holy shit! In the end, it's up to the player to decide whether this family is truly cursed, or is it just life and they are willing these tragedies into realization. The whole game is a setup to answer this and is well worth your time.
There's a secret.
You could
in
even
this
cry.
bathroom.
There is no other game on this list that reaches the unimaginable highs of Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. It's so hard to even just narrow down to one thing.
We're safe now.
How about your pregnant wife shooting Nazi mechs with a machine gun in each arm topless? How about outrunning a nuclear explosion on a gyrocycle? How about competing with Ronald Reagan for a movie role and line reading with Adolf Hitler on Venus? What the fuck? Wolfenstein 2 is jam-packed with these moments that I'll remember for the rest of my life. It's an amazing middle chapter of building a resistance and beginning to take back America. Sprinkle in an oddball but endearing cast of characters, and maybe the most amazing villain I've ever seen. She is truly terrifying. Take this all together and Wolfenstein is a non-stop roller coaster. Actually, there are no downs like roller coasters. It's a fucking free fall. I actually originally cut BioShock from the list because I believe the narrative to be only meh. When I thought about the plot points, I came away thinking it was okay. However, there is maybe no game that nails atmosphere like BioShock. But that's not story, right? Well, not in this case. BioShock is the story of a man with no memory coming to the city of Rapture and uncovering its secrets. Unraveling the mystery of Andrew Ryan, Big Daddies, Little Sisters, Atlas, Xander Cohen, all of it. All of it is atmosphere. All of it is intrigue. The story of BioShock isn't the story of your character and what happens to him. The story of BioShock is actually the story of Rapture. And when I look at it that way, and you throw in one of gaming's best twists, BioShock is an easy top 5. When it comes to modern adventure games, the truth is they're all story. And I played a good chunk of them, but one stands out as the best of the best. The Walking Dead. Telltale Games had done some good things, but they completely changed the game here. You'll follow Lee as he rescues little girl Clementine and tries to guide her through this new zombie apocalypse. The gameplay is basic to non-existent, but the choices this game forces you to make really just destroy your heart. Choosing whether you have to shoot a small child who's been bitten or make his father do it, it was a real fucked up moment. But it doesn't hold a candle to the final choice. I won't spoil it, but I will say I had to really take some time and think it through. And that's the exact thing that made Walking Dead special. The player didn't just choose willy-nilly, but instead required some real thought in your choices. They nailed it. This epic Western saga was nothing short of enthralling. It had all the makings of the formulaic Rockstar story, at least in the beginning. Arthur Morgan, You're a member of a gang and your job is to go cause shit, rob, steal, kill. It's so Rockstar. And for 2/3 of the game, that's all it is. Now you are going to do some truly sinister shit in this game. Braithwaite Manor? And these plot points are entertaining enough, but you need more to get a spot on the top 10. However, like everything in this game, it's a slow burn. It's all just set up for the game's third act, where Arthur must now come to terms with his own mortality as he is diagnosed with tuberculosis. Now the player is forced to look back on the events of his life and the person you have become, all the while knowing the end is near. You are left wondering, can he really have redemption? It was a very risky move to do this because, as I said, the story is a slow burn. 80 hours of burn. But it is a tale that few would even dare to tell. But they do get there. They absolutely get there. It's so good I almost made it number 1. I wouldn't be angry if it was, but I have one game that beat it out by just a hair.
Do you have my bag?
Right from the beginning, The Last of Us comes out swinging. And not in an audacious way, but with a very sincere demonstration of loss. And it never takes its foot off the gas from there. The basic plot is Joel meets Ellie as a broken man, but agrees to transport her as she holds the key to a possible cure. But that's not the story. The story is actually us watching the bond of Joel and Ellie develop. And we follow along as they change over the course of a year together. We watch Joel learn to care about something again after he's lost everything. And we see an optimistic, wide-eyed Ellie come back down to earth as she has to learn how to survive in this new world. There are a ton of emotional moments that hit home due to the fantastic performances. They sell it. You believe the pain and even feel empathy for what's happening and what happens in this world. It happens with both over-the-top, brutal, gruesome action, but also in the quieter moments in between. It all culminates into one of my favorite video game endings. There is so much beauty in its ambiguity. From start to finish, there is no game that punches as hard as The Last of Us. And for me, that's what makes it number 1. And there you have it. The best stories in video games. It's some of the best character work, some of the best world building, some of the craziest moments, and some of the most heartfelt moments. It's what makes video games so special. You not only get a front row seat to these stories, but you play your own part. Whether it's exploration, the choices you make, or just providing the shoulder for someone to cry upon. What do you think? Did I miss your favorite video game story? I'd love to hear what it is. I'm always looking for a great story, you know.